Good evening, I'm Dennis Ward, and this is Face to Face. Our guest this week is Métis singer-songwriter Brandi Vezina. Brandi, who is based in Winnipeg, says she really started taking music seriously in 2019. Now she's been nominated for 5 2022 Manitoba Country Music Association awards, including Album of the Year. Brandi is also a motivational speaker and a school teacher. Brandi, absolutely fabulous to have you with us this week in studio.
Tanche, Dennis, thank you so much for having me.
It's a big week ahead for you. The 2022 Manitoba Country Music Awards are on, I believe, the 5th of November. You're nominated for 5 awards, including Album of the Year, Female Artist of the Year. That must feel pretty good.
Feels incredible and super humbling.
Some stiff competition, too. Manitoba has some fine country music artists, but like we said in the intro, you only got started or started taking music seriously in 2019, so to be receiving 5 nominations this year, that must feel pretty satisfying.
It is. Like I said, it's super humbling because, you know, I've been moving pretty quickly, but I did my work prior to really taking things serious, but it's an honor.
So what happened in 2019, I guess, that you decided to go full on with this?
I wasn't quite satisfied in my career as an educator. I mean, I'm grateful and I love being a teacher, but I certainly wanted something more for myself. So then in 2018, I had taken part in the Manitoba Arts Network program for emerging artists, and I was the only one who didn't have my own original music. So I prayed, and danger wrote itself. I contacted Murray Pulver. I sent him a message and I said, "Hello, Murray. My name is Brandi Vezina and I have done my research and I would like to work with you." And then Murray and I met and it all took off from there.
And for those who wouldn't know Murray's name, I mean, he was part of Crash Test Dummies. He's a pretty big producer as well, right?
He produces people from all over North America.
So pretty lucky, I guess, to be working with somebody of that caliber right away.
And I consider him a dear friend.
2019, tough time to get into the music business, I would say, with the pandemic and the inability to tour. Did the pandemic is it continuing to have much of an impact on your career?
I think it actually was in my benefit because I attended all sorts of industry workshops and conferences that were made online for the first time. So, you know, you would have to pack up and go to a conference in, say, Texas or Toronto or CD Baby, somewhere here in North America, but I attended everything. I learned, I worked very closely with Manitoba Music, and I have 2 degrees, I love learning, I'm a nerd, and I just delved in and learned as much as I could about the music business.
Talking about Manitoba Music, do you find that there is a lot of support here for musicians?
Incredible. Manitoba Music is a wonderful organization, and they've helped me massively build my career.
Like we were saying, a lot of musicians, bands make their money off of tours, merchandise sales, while touring. Also getting that connection with their fans. What does it mean for you to be able to actually play in front of audiences now again?
Well, I think it's important to earn your chops, right? Like, I grew up in a musical Métis family. My stepfather was a musician. I watched my mom and stepfather play and tour every weekend. So it's important you build your fan base one fan at a time. So every single person who comes out to watch my band and it gets me in the heart because that's how you build a fan base.
How difficult is it in this streaming era to make money off of your music?
Well, streaming, you really don't make much, but if you're fortunate enough to be played on Sirius XM and different radio stations, you can have a viable career. But I think it's important to be able to play live, and then you grow your fan base as you play live, because people want to see you, and they want to buy your merch, and they want to know who you are as an artist. So, yeah, it is viable.
CD sales, is that still a thing?
Yes, people still buy CDs, kind of a little bit of an older audience, but CDs do still sell.
Brandi, much more to discuss here. We're just going to step aside for a quick break, and then we'll continue the conversation here with Métis singer-songwriter Brandi Vezina. Stick around.
avoid this, my girl. Danger, danger, it'll destroy your world. You're not gonna find yourself tangled in somebody else. Danger, danger, avoid this, my girl. Some roads won't lead you home. Take you places you never known. Manipulation and lies. Betrayal is what you find. Danger, danger, avoid this, my girl. Danger, danger, it'll destroy your world.
Welcome back to Face to Face. Our guest this week is singer-songwriter and educator Brandi Vezina. Brandi, you said, like we said, you started getting serious about music in 2019, but was music something that you grew up in and around?
My family is musical. Actually, my granny's brother, Tommy Knott, was a super respected Métis fiddler and traditional, very traditional. From the time I was small, everybody sang. There was, honestly, I'll be honest, in our community, a lot of our elders, and there was a lot of drinking, there was a lot of partying, there was late night parties, like I'm talking like I was a baby, and I'd look through the door and I'd see people playing like 3 guitars and harmonizing and beers clanking, and it was wild. I grew up in the country, and I seen my grandparents sing. I watched my grandparents have a band, the Why Not Band. I got my musical chops with them in seniors' homes across the province as a teenager. And then my Uncle Norman, my best uncle in the entire world, who went to the spirit world this year, I did a lot of singing with him. He would throw songs at me, like different Stones songs, and say, "Okay, try this, my girl." And I sang with him. The Manitoba Métis Federation, actually always as a youth, I performed with them, and I had a little band, my mom and I, with some other Métis artists here in Manitoba. And actually in 2013, I was in the NCI Jam, and I won $1,500 for singing Folsom.
Big money at that age.
Woo! So I kept moving and grooving, and I took singing lessons with Leanne Goose and Ray St. Germain, and I got my feet wet because I like to research, and I like to, like I said about Murray, I like to do my research. And I practiced and I played, and before I really started like taking things serious, I did sing a lot, and I was on many different stages. And I watched my mom sing my entire life. When I was 3, she was singing in a talent contest in Grand Marais, and I grabbed the mic from her, and in front of a packed house, I said, "Bad, bad boys make me feel so good." And I ran away. So yeah, music is in my blood. That's what we did. We didn't play card games. Maybe at Christmas we played Pictionary, but music was my family's thing, and I've been around it my entire life.
And the star was born at 3 years old. One of the musical influences you cite is Miranda Lambert, who I definitely, certainly agree with hearing that in your music. Can you talk about some of the people who have, the music who have influenced you and your writing and singing?
Well, the Stones, #1. Keith and Mick are my favorite. They're my dream team. I'm still in search for my Keith Richards. So the Stones, #1, I grew up on it. My Uncle Norm played them all the time. I can sing so many of their albums off by heart. And their songwriting is honest. And I mean, I'm in my 10th year of sobriety, okay? I'll be 10 years sober this year. And there are pieces and parts of my music that I don't sing a lot about, like drinking and still being in the problem. But believe me, there's a piece and part of my spirit that is like naturally a feisty sass pot. So the Stones, so much of their music, like I just relate to in their songwriting. I love writing. That is like one of my favorite parts of being an artist. So the Stones, Johnny Cash as well. I'm going down the outlaw path now because I don't fit into a little package of being a country pop artist. It's just not where I want to go, and it's not where I want the lane I want to go in. I'm going more outlaw because my roots are classic country and the rock. I grew up on Loretta Lynn. I grew up on Patsy Cline. I can sing you lots of Hank Williams. Like, that's in my blood. You hear it in my voice. You hear it in my twang, right? So that's the kind of music that I grew up on, and I'm going more outlaw because I'm sticking to my roots. I'm from the country. I grew up on old classic country music in the church with my grandparents singing and my papa picking the songs and my granny playing the guitar at our little old country church. So yeah, and also, yeah, Miranda, number one. She's my favorite, and she's a very intelligent businesswoman, and she's my favorite.
Favorite Stone song?
Plundered My Soul.
Plundered My Soul, good one. So many to choose from. I'm surprised you were able to just pick one right off the top. What do you make of the way, like I was telling you, the last few years I've been getting more into country music, but it does seem to be getting more poppy, some of it. What do you make of where the country music industry is with its sound right now?
Well, music goes and it ways, and it goes the way it goes, right? And let people do what they like to do. But like I said, I'm sticking to the more classic country, and I look at some Canadian artists who are doing really well, like say Coulter Wall. I mean, he is a Canadian artist who's touring and playing all over the States, and he's doing incredible. And he's stuck to the more of the outlaw roots as well. So I think you got to know who you are as a person to know who you are as an artist, and I'm staying in my own lane, and I'm okay with it. And to each and every single person out there creating art from their hearts and spirits, give her, have fun.
I do love the outlaw, Chris Stapleton, Miranda Lambert, Pistolantes. Though I do want to ask you about a song that features a hip-hop artist. That song, Danger, that features Boogie the Beat, I believe, is currently our most streamed song right now, but also a song that you say was the first song that you ever wrote. Can you tell us about the inspiration and meaning of that song for you?
Definitely. It's a true story. I would just like walk away. I was coming out of a really, really unhealthy relationship. And patterns repeat themselves, just like in Walk Away, I say, passed on through generations, same old situation. Well, it's intergenerational trauma. If you grew up in and around alcoholism and you grew up around violence, I mean, it affects you. So with Danger, it came to me in a dream, actually. Like I said, I'm almost 10 years sober. So I woke up in the middle of the night and I jotted down, "Danger, my girl, it'll destroy your world." And then I prayed for the words. I went back to my hotel room and I prayed to John Trudell, who's one of my favorite human beings ever, who's in the spirit world. And literally the song wrote itself in 20 minutes. So I brought that one to Murray. We put it out eventually, but I really like the work that Boogie the Beat is doing. And I wanted to make sure and honor the missing and murdered Indigenous women here in Winnipeg on the wall as you're going towards Polo Park. Those young girls were between the ages of 16 and 19 years old. Like, they were just children. And actually, one of the sons of those young women who were murdered reached out to me and said, "Thank you for not forgetting my mom." So I just really wanted to honor our own community. I made sure there was a little bit of a drum on there, and I like the work that Boogie's doing. So that's really kind of down a different lane, but that's okay because, I mean, I took it where it was meant to go and I prayed on it, and that's how the song was meant to be.
Great track, too. You've mentioned your sobriety a few times, but also growing up, parties and jam sessions, those late-night party jam sessions. What role, I guess, has music played with your sobriety?
Well, it's been a saving grace. My granny always says that music will carry you through. And I can say right now, without my sobriety, there's no way I'd be sitting here. There's no way. I really don't think I'd even be alive at this point in time. But I mean, I think because I pray and my message is from my heart and my spirit, I think that my guides, my helpers, people, the ones in the spirit world are guiding me and leading me where I need to go. And I mean, I could sing songs that, glorify drinking and whatnot, but that's not where I am as a person, so that's not the message that I want to share. Because as you mentioned, I am a motivational speaker and I've been working in community for over a decade. And I bring my songs in community, I can offer a song and then I can speak on that song. So a lot of my songs have more depth to them if you really listen to them. But yeah, so I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation with you. I'd be sitting on a bar stool talking about what I'm going to be doing because it wouldn't be a reality.
like that point. Moving to your latest single, Gasoline, which is only a month or two, been out for a month or two. You say you wrote that song as part of your evolution out of dysfunction. Can you tell us about that?
You know it. Definitely. I mean, if you've grown up in unhealthy relationships, or the adults in your life, they broke up and they got back together, and they had different partners and they cheated on each other, and you've seen this. This is the life you've watched as a child. Like, you think that's normal, and it's not. So it took me almost 10 years to be able to have emotional awareness, emotional maturity, and to be able to look at myself. And these are the types of relationships I've always had. I've been recreating my childhood patterns, we'll say trauma, in the relationships that I have kept, and I'm done. I don't pick the same partners. I don't need to be picking partners who are still drinking and in the problem and doing things that I no longer do, because I don't want that kind of lifestyle for myself anymore. I've lived it. Listen to my music. I've lived it, and it's not fun anymore. So it's time to evolve and move on.
As we mentioned, you're up for 5 Manitoba Country Music Association awards here right away. So breaking big here in Manitoba, but I've heard that you have your eyes set overseas. Can you tell us about that?
You're darn right. I've been working with a radio tracker in Europe, throughout Europe, and I've been working with a publicity company in the UK in Brighton, because I want to share my culture. I always like to bring the traditional Métis fiddle wherever I go, because that's who I am and where I'm raised and part of my identity. But I always said, I want to go to Europe, but I want to be paid to get there. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I want to travel, I want to learn, I want to see, and I want to share who we are. I'm from the heart of Turtle Island. I mean, my song Alberta Rose talks about my mom coming back pregnant from Alberta with me. I was raised in the heartland of the Métis Nation for a reason. And it's not like I, just learned that I was Métis 2 weeks ago, and I was born and bred in my own culture. I know where I'm from. I know my elders. I know our Bungi language. I know who I am. And I want to share that, because I think, Europeans need to learn a little bit more about the Métis.
And you're lucky to have been able to grow up with all that. Brandi, more to discuss here. We're just going to step aside for one more quick break, and then we'll continue the conversation with Métis singer-songwriter and educator Brandi Vezina. Stay with us. Welcome back to Face to Face. Our guest this week is Métis singer-songwriter Brandi Vezina. Brandi, we've been talking about your music, but you also have a podcast called Going Inward, where you share your experiences about relationships and sobriety. Can you tell us about the podcast, why you like to do a podcast as well?
I coach women. I've coached many women from across North America, and I don't want to be only exclusive to women, so I have the podcast for all genders, and it's just a really great way to be able to express myself. And I've had a blog for almost 10 years and also a YouTube channel. So it's just a means of, if I can help a person connect to themselves so they do a little less collateral damage all over the place, and maybe they care about the earth a little bit more, or maybe animals, then I've done my job. So that's why.
What kind of feedback do you get from not only the podcast, the motivational speaking, but from your music as well?
It's humbling. Like I said, getting a message from that young man about his mother, that's to my heart. I get messages from women who have left unhealthy relationships and say that Walk Away is their theme song. And the messages that I get, they're beautiful and they're thoughtful, and it's just really nice to hear that my music can potentially make a difference, and sometimes makes a difference in people's lives. I can't really describe, because it gets you in the heart. There's no other way to put it, is if you're helping ease somebody's load, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Brandi, your first album, Don't Settle, came out in September 2021. Your latest single that we talked about, Gasoline, has only been out for a couple of months in September of this year. Is the new album in the works? New music coming?
Woo! Yes, I have 3 singles. I have 3 singles coming in 2023 that I want to be touring off of. I want to go west for sure, and a Manitoba tour in the works as well. They're sassy. went through a little breakup recently.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a little Taylor Swift. Like I should give like a little disclaimer, date me and I'll write about you. So yeah, I will say my granny is going to be my granny is going to be on my next single. She's going to be harmonizing because my granny did go to the bush and put out an offering, her and her friend, because the relationship that I was in was so awful that her and her friend wanted to help me get out of it. So they went to the bush and cut the cord and made an offering. So of course I have to have my granny on this track harmonizing with me. So yeah, I have some fun ones, and there's going to be new music in 2023, and there is a new album. That's not going to come probably until 2024.
Well, looking forward to it all. I've had a great pleasure of listening to you nonstop pretty much the whole week, and really digging all your tunes and looking forward to the new stuff.
Marcy, thank you so much for having me on the show.
And thank you, but also good luck with the awards. We hope you bring home a whole bunch of hardware, and we'll bring you back on the show and talk about all that.
Woo, woo. Thank you.
Brandi, that is all the time we have for this week because we want to squeeze in some time for the video for the new single, Gasoline. Of course, you can watch and catch up on any episodes of Face to Face you might have missed by visiting our website, aptnnews.ca. This episode and all of our past episodes are also available as podcasts. You can find those wherever you download your podcasts. And while you're there, check in on Brandi's podcast as well. I'm Dennis Ward. Thanks for tuning in to Face to Face. Have a great night. We'll see you back here next week. We'll leave you now with Brandi's new single, Gasoline.
I'll be the gasoline. Up against the door, our clothes on the floor. I know you're no good for me. Nails in your back, it's so good, it's so bad. When we're under the sheets, your skin on my skin, here we go again, doing what we shouldn't be. We know how this ends, so let's just pretend we won't get burned by the heat. So you be the match and I'll be the gasoline. Yeah, you be the match and I'll be the gasoline. Here we go again, doing what we shouldn't be. We know how this ends, so let's just pretend we won't get burned by the heat. You be the match and I'll be the gasoline.